My name is Cuellar Jr., and I am studying for the Diocese of Austin. I am currently third-year theologian, preparing for ordination to the diaconate in May. I would have to say that my vocation story began from the age of 13 when I was invited to help teach catechism. And as I was teaching catechism, I began to realize how much I really enjoyed it and loved everything that I was learning while teaching. At that time, many people were asking me if I had ever considered the possibility of being a priest, and my response was, no, I don't want to be a priest. But little by little, serving in the church and helping in the church, I began to feel a tugging at my heart, a desire to want to do something greater than simply being involved in ministry. I wanted to be like the priests at the altar. And so I continued studying, began to study social work and psychology, and during my 23rd year of life, I was invited by my pastor at Santa Barbara Catholic Church to consider the priesthood. And I remember thinking to myself, who told you, Father, that I wanted to be a priest? It was very interesting to have that invitation, and I said, just to kind of get him off my back, sure, Father, I will consider it. And he said, well, good, there's a Project Andrew next week, and I want you to be there, and I'll be there with you. And so I couldn't get out of it. Well, I went, and I heard the stories of many seminarians and priests and the bishop, and I realized, wow, these stories are exactly similar to mine. But I knew at that moment, I said, Lord, there's no way you're calling me. You know I'm a sinner. I'm a horrible sinner, and there's nothing that you would want with me. And so I said, Lord, if you really want me, you must make it very clear to me. Well, at Mass that afternoon, the gospel was Jesus saying, I am like the physician for the sick, I'm here for the sinners. And it was like a spiritual awakening in me. My heart fluttered, my eyes filled with tears, and I found at that moment that God was inviting me to really discern the possibility of priesthood. I entered seminary in 2008, studied philosophy at St. Joseph's Seminary College in Louisiana, was graduated in 2013 and entered here at St. Mary's Seminary in 2013. And I'll tell you that in all my life, including the time that I worked in social work, nothing has made me as happy and as fulfilled as I have been studying for the priesthood. The encounters with people that are actually encounters with Christ, the ability to spend time in prayer and to just feel myself being enlightened by the Spirit, and the joy that comes from being in so intimate union with Christ. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I ask you that if you meet young men and even young women, to invite them to consider the possibility of a vocation to a religious life or priesthood. Because perhaps in that invitation that you're giving, young people will have an encounter with Christ that will bring them to a transformation